Welcome to Horrors of History, and I am your host, Rendrag Selak, the patriotic pirate himself, here in my assassins outfit, to really assassinate and tell the true stories of the one and only pilgrims up in Plymouth, Mass. Now, some of you might get a little butthurt when I go into this stuff, so if you do, and you don't want to know the facts and the truth behind this stuff, please exit out. Now, I am not up in Plymouth doing this because I am not a foolish man, and I know that doing so would get me pretty much chased out of there with pitchforks and torches. And I am, today, I'm sporting my Viking stuff on here too. It's a Viking hood, my Viking shirt. And where am I? Where am I to talk about this said true history about Plymouth, Mass? And as you would say, this area probably has nothing to do with Plymouth, Mass, but it does have a lot to do with Native American history. And here I am at the one and only Rocky Point Park right down here in Warwick. And I'm about to give you guys a couple ins and outs. We're going to do a couple different spots for you guys and really nail it down and assassinate some of those false rumors and facts that you guys hear of down in Plymouth. Now, it is full of it. Don't get me wrong. It is a tourist trap, but that's all that place is. It tells nothing but farbs and fibs. There are bits and pieces of truth in there, but those truths are so buried by lies that it's very, very small. Like I said, you might get butthurt. This might be like when I was exposing the truth to Christopher Columbus to someone and he unfriended me. But it's still on the same list. Now, here we are at Rocky Point Park. Now, it's been a long time since I have been here to enjoy the rides, but I come here quite often to enjoy the sceneries and some of the history here because it's got quite a bit of it. And I'm sitting on top of what would be the ski lift. You guys can see right behind me. And I'll show you something kind of morbid but true before we get into the other stuff. Right over here, let's go over to the spindle, is where the only documented death was here in Rocky Point as far as when the park was operating. And as you can see, there it is. And how did this happen? Well, the gentleman was up here working, and as he was working, of course, someone did not make sure that power was off down below. And if you know anything about mechanics and machinery, you've heard of the pinch point. He got more than a pinch point. He got split in half right here because the machine activated. He got caught in it and he got split in half. Now, are there more deaths here at Rocky Point? Absolutely. We got to go back into the history of this place, but that's a story for another day. But let's talk a little bit about the natives, because after all, Thanksgiving has a lot to do with natives. The natives here would predate the colonists, and to go back, they probably go back into some of the first and earliest settlers that were here. Everybody in history always says that it was the Europeans here that discovered this. But how can you discover a continent that's already had humanity on it for over 3,000 years? You can't. So to claim discovery is a bunch of shit. So you claim discovery for over in Europe, but it was already here. So let's rewrite that history a little bit. And I'm going to tell you right now, you discovered nothing. The natives were already here. They discovered it way before you did, coming over that land bridge that connected us into Russia. So somewhere down the line, the relatives of this area were probably relatives of someone over in Asia if you had to travel back and start doing the DNA testing. Now, this area that I'm up in, there are a lot of caves up here in Rocky Point. Some of them, majority of them were filled in. Now, when the colonists first started coming around here and settling this area and exploring, and when it got turned into a park, they explored these caves more. And they would find Native American artifacts, Native American bones, yes, burial spots, places that they left so that the bodies would go back into nature. And of course, us being the temporary and the fooling around colonists, well, we moved stuff, we played with artifacts, we kept it, and probably in someone's basement is a skull from inside of here. I wouldn't doubt it. That would be enough to start the rumors of Rocky Point with the negativity and a lot of the curses, so to speak. And I'm going to start there with that right there. To think that the natives put curses on you is kind of bullshit. First of all, the natives would, they wouldn't want you to mess with their stuff, but they're not going to waste their time cursing you. It's just not, it's not what they do, especially in this area. Now, would they take revenge? And of course they would. You're in their area, and this is where we're going to get to Plymouth in a second. You're on their land, you're taking up their hunting grounds, their fishing grounds, and you're saying it is there, or yours. Now let's put this into perspective, all right? Let's say I had a piece of property across the pond from you, and I decided one day I'm going to explore the other side of that pond. Now, I don't know you're there yet, but I'm going to explore over there, and I come across this area. I see no signs of you, no traces, because you're not really a people that believe in putting such structures up. But now, I'm going to claim your backyard is mine. Your backyard is mine. Anything that I hunt in here is mine. I'm going to overhunt it. I'm going to overfish it. I'm going to start taking some of your trees down, and I'm going to build a settlement up here. Totally disbelieving and disagreeing with any of your rituals or any of your rites. I'm going to start desecrating your graves. I'm going to start desecrating your spiritual areas, and I don't give a shit. That's basically what the pilgrims did when they came over here. To think that they came over here in peaceful manners is just not the case. Now, of course, there were natives here that were, towards some point in time, were sharing and trying to get along peacefully with the pilgrims. And there was far more that were not happy with that situation. And I can't blame them. I wouldn't be happy with that situation either. Because we're going to go back in time again. And look what I'm wearing, the Viking stuff. The natives have dealt with the Europeans before. And especially in this area when the Vikings were coming up through Canada, coming down through Newfoundland, and basically trying to do their Viking ways coming down. Now, of course, we know they would even get into the Midwest with that stuff. Now, the natives outnumbered them, and the natives knew the area well, so it sent the Vikings packing. It's very few people, far and few, were able to do that to the Vikings, but the natives were. So, in that, what we're talking about with that, I'm going to go back into that. So the natives now know that white man is an issue, and they've dealt with us before, and I'm sure the stories have traveled down. So when we start settling out here, they got a big sigh of, oh no, here they come again. So they're not too happy with that. Now, let's let's kill some of these Farby facts there. Now, you guys all go down there and you see that tiny little rock that says that's where the pilgrims landed. Absolutely not. They did not land on no tiny little rock. And for the most part, they didn't land in Pilgrim. They landed in Sandwich, Cape Cod, which is a little bit further from there. That village that's there is as Farby can get. It's as Farby as Mystic Seaport. The buildings were made out of the ship material that's from the Mayflower. And a lot of them, because they were built on the coastal area, because it was safer for them to be there versus in the woods where the natives would, pun on that word would have taken it upon themselves to make sure that they don't go any further. So that wood and all those foundations are far away rotted. A lot of the pilgrims actually would move on to other areas. Puritans, there's one that's in Salem, Mass. There's a couple down in Rhode Island. So they didn't really stay around that area. And as far as feasting goes, it might have been a small feast, but for the most part, those Puritans, they definitely suffered that winter. And we'll get into that story down the road, and we'll talk about that. But I just hammered across to you guys a couple of the false facts. Number one, never landed on Pilgrim Rock. Number two, never landed in Plymouth. And number three, that village ain't where it's supposed to be, and it is not original. So when you guys go down there, enjoy it for what it is. It is a Disneyland of history. The one and only Captain Rendrag, Part 1, to being thankful for the Thanksgiving terror, over and out.